Welcome back to the Nando Nation. It's your boy, Nando Sr. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was role models and being positive. And my role models growing up were my parents. And the one thing I wish I had with my father that I have now as an adult was a friendship. And for some reason, growing up, I couldn't have that with him. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because he only knew how to be one way with me, and my dad had a hard time communicating with me that way because it was like out of left field. If I had a question about a girl, it's like, Dad, can I ask you something? Yada, 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 yada. And he'd look at me with this look on his face like, okay, go talk to your mother. So my mom and I formed a friendship to where I was able to tell her everything and anything, and we had that open relationship. Now, as far as my dad goes, as an adult, I have that with him now. I wish I had it growing up, but I have it with him now. We've shared beers together, we've shared jokes, good conversation, and it's all good. And I wish I had that growing up, but I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for my dad. So I'm thankful that he was the way he was. In the back of my mind, I always said to myself, one day when I have kids, I'm going to be different. Because I saw other kids had that relationship, and I was a tad bit jealous, so to speak, but it worked out for the best. But the one thing that I made sure is my love for gaming. I mean, I've been gaming since back in the Atari, the first PlayStation, the first Nintendo, and so on and so forth. I take it back to that era. I'm old school gamer, still gaming, still doing it, and I'm glad my son appreciates the gaming like I do. When he started playing video games and I saw how good he was, that was our bond right there. That was our connection. My mom laughs at me now. I'm 40 years old and I still love playing video games. You know, the kid in me just loves playing video games. And him and I, we have this collaborative mind that, you know, that works. And I can't wait to show you guys how well we are together. And, you know, my son asked me a question, what makes me different? Because a lot of times when he's playing games, he'll come at me a certain way and he'll get a little explicit with me, and his friends are like, your dad let you say that to him? My dad would have gave me a backhand, or my dad would have grounded me. Or the truth is, I developed a relationship with my son. There's a line, he doesn't cross it. He knows when it's time to be dad, I'm dad. But all in all, he respects me to the point where he wouldn't do anything to disrespect me in that manner. A lot of the gamers he plays with, they're always, wish your dad was, my dad. Or I wish my dad was as cool as your dad. A part of me, I'm happy to hear that. Part of me gets like, yeah, but I'm not saying I deserve Father of the Year. It was a learning process, and it's still a learning process. And I do the best that I can. And the one thing I wanted with my son was an open relationship to where he wouldn't be afraid to tell me things. He wouldn't be ashamed. He can come to me and say, Dad, what did you go through when you went through this? Or Dad, how did you handle it? He can come to me with anything. Mom's a tad bit jealous, but, trying to work on that. Seriously, our connection is video games. And when we're playing video games, it's not father and son. We're just two dudes kicking it, just having a good time. It gets tense, it gets aggravating, but like I said, we know the lines. That's the respect that we both have. I appreciate the way I was brought up. Both my parents, they weren't the strictest as far as some cases, but when it came down to education, that came first. I had the Boys and Girls Club, so I basically played pool, table tennis, I was in the gym. That's where I did a lot of growing up too. My mom took a job at the Boys Club to be near us. My dad worked his job, did what most dads do, provide, discipline. I'm not trying to be a friend to where, they can get away with murder or anything like that. No. I think growing up, at times, I just needed that shoulder to cry on, that shoulder to lean on. And my mother was that for me, But the truth is, sometimes you want male bonding. I wanted to be that figure for my son. I wanted my son to look at me and say, you know what, Dad? I want to be just like you. I don't want to be like these fake celebrities that in reality are regular people that do a job, and it's just they get paid lots of money to play sports, music, television. I'm just me, without the money. Today's society is much more different. I try to stay up on the latest fashions, stay up on the latest music. Music's another passion of mine, so I'll never stop loving music. Keeping up with technology, keeping up with what the kids are doing. Nowadays, you gotta know what's going on. Everything is cell phones and iPods and tablets and iPads and all that good stuff. And, if you don't know what's going on, you pretty much don't know what's going on. I don't want to be one of those parents that come home and wonder who the hell's staying in that room over there. That's a complete stranger. I didn't raise that. What I'd like to do with my son on this channel is want to show everybody that fathers and sons can just be like buds, We could have that relationship to where there's no secrets, there's no walls, there's no boundaries, it's just open. Granted, as any teenager goes, you do some dirt and you want to keep secrets, but I usually get told when the time comes, but I try to stay involved. I want my son to know that I do care, that my ear is always open, that I could have the worst day in the world and I would still listen. My shoulder's here to cry on. Not every father's gonna be like me, or not every father's gonna want to be like me. I'm not saying all that. Believe me, I'm unique. I want to be unique. But nowadays things are a bit different, and a lot of kids find themselves alone. And I don't want my son, my daughter, or my littlest one to ever feel like we don't care, that we're not here. My job is to just be there and make sure that we learn from it, how we can move on from it, how we can build on it. It hurts me as a parent sometimes because his friends have everything that he wants, and whether it be electronics, clothing, whatever it may be. As a parent, it breaks my heart at times because it's like, dude, I'm just trying to work to keep a roof over your head, put food on the table. Always love your parents. Never take them for granted. They're not always the bad guys. Sometimes you say things you don't mean out of anger. But just remember, we have feelings too. We were your age once. Always remember that. We're not stupid. We may not say something right away. We act on it when the time comes. I hope I didn't bore you or put you to sleep in any way, shape, or form. Really, thank you guys for showing the support that you have so far. And just remember, we're just getting started. Students of the game, still learning. Enough love. Peace out.